Hello everybody, this is Danny Class, and today we are going to learn how to play some major triads in C, in G, and in D. And the major triad you can think of as the bare bones minimal major chord. That is, it is the least amount of chord you can have and still be a major chord. And you heard me in the intro playing some voicings in C, D, and G. Those are, again, some voicings. There are many, many voicings of not only the triads, but the major chords when you start doubling or maybe even tripling some notes. But I thought it would be good to kind of start at the basic level here, and then from these major triads you can add some chords, add some notes, and make them more full. So just to review, the major triad consists of the first, the third, and the fifth notes of a major scale. They're also known as the root, the major third, and the perfect fifth. And so let's start with C. And to get sort of oriented, we could play a C major scale. Here's the C major scale. Let's play the first, the third, and the fifth. The first is the C, the third is the E, and the fifth is the G. So what that means is if you play a C and an E and a G, anywhere on the guitar you will have, by definition, a C major chord. And we'll call them a triad because there's just three notes. So the first voicing that I'm going to use is here, where we have the open E, the C, first finger, first fret, second string, and the G. The next voicing I'm going to use is going to be a small bar chord on the fifth fret, first finger barring the fourth, the third, and the second finger. Those notes being the G, the C, and the E, and that is a C major triad. You can test it from the first sound. Sounds basically the same. And the next voicing I'm going to use is going to be third finger, 10th fret, fourth string, it's a C, second finger, 9th fret, third string, that's the E, and lastly the first string, 8th fret, the second string, first finger, 8th fret, and that is a G. And play them together. Again, C. And then the last one I want to do is simply going to be an octave. That means plus 12 of the very first thing I did, which puts you up here. But in terms of the fingering, that would be the first finger in front of the 12th fret on the third string. It's a G. The second finger in front of the third finger in front of the 13th fret, that is the C, and the third finger in front of the 12th fret on the first string, and that is an E. Okay, so those are your C major triads. Some C major triads. Next up, let's take a look at some G major triads. And that is the first, third, and fifth scale degree of the major scale in G, which would be G, B, and D. G, B, and D. So we need to find those three notes, and if we play them together, we get a G major triad. This one's pretty easy to start because if we have an open D here, fourth string, open G, third string, and open B, second string, that's a G. Very simple chord. You don't need to use your left hand at all for that. Okay, next up, you might remember this shape. In fact, if you took the shape from here, from that earlier C chord, and slid it down here, you have a G major triad. That being your third finger on the fourth string in front of the fifth fret, that's the G. The second finger on the third string in front of the fourth fret, that's the B. And lastly, your first finger in front of the third fret on the second string, that is a D. So 5, 4, 3. Test it from the first one. Very similar, just a different voicing. Okay, let's keep going. Next G major triad voicing that we have is way up here, where we put our third finger on the 4th string in front of the 9th fret. That's the B. We put our first finger in front of the 7th fret on the 3rd string, that is the D. And lastly, we put our second finger in front of the 8th fret on the 2nd string, and that is the G. And you have a G major triad there. And then lastly, remember the octave just means adding 12 to whatever you're playing. So our very first chord was 0, they're open. 12 plus 0 is 12. So if we put our first finger on those same strings on the 12th fret in a bar position, 4, 3, and 2, those being, again, D, G, and B, you have a voicing of a G chord. So to review, open, 5, 4, 3, this one up here, and lastly the octave. Those are some G major triad voicings. Lastly, let's do D major triads. Okay, so 1, 3, 5 from the D major scale. The D major scale is up here, or can be up here. There's other voicings you can play, but this is the one I'm going to use. First, of course, is the D, the third is an F sharp, and the 5th is an A. So we need to find D, F sharp, and A wherever we can. We play them together, and we have a D major triad. Here's one here, that being your third finger in front of the 4th fret on the 4th string, F sharp, first finger in front of the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, that's an A, and lastly, your second finger in front of the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, that is the D. Play them together, that is a D major triad, or D chord, D major chord. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do the bar version. The bar version for the D major triad is on the 9th fret for strings number 4 and 3 and 2, the notes being A, D, and F sharp. And I'm using my first finger to do that. Of course, you can use your middle finger. As a general rule for these particular triads, it's going to be easier down the road to use your first finger because it frees up your other fingers for some upper extensions and some other voicings. Interestingly, this one also has harmonics, because it's on a very sensitive area of harmonics, the 9th fret. Anyway, that is a D major triad there. The next one is going to be way up here, 4th string, 3rd finger, 12th fret. Next, we have the 2nd finger on front of the 11th fret on the 3rd string, that would be the F sharp. And then lastly, the A will be found on the 2nd string, 1st finger in front of the 10th fret. Play them together. And you have a D major triad. And just to maybe keep going, if we wanted to, that very first one we did, if we added 12 to those fingerings on to those fret numbers, 4, 2, and 1, it goes way up here. That being the 12, 13, 14, 15th frets, no, excuse me, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th frets. 12 plus 4 is 16, math class. For the 3rd finger on the 4th string, your first finger on the 3rd string in front of the 14th fret, that is the A. And then lastly, your 2nd finger in front of the 15th fret on the 2nd string, that is the D. So a good practice would be, of course, to just practice those particular voicings of all these chords. I'll do the D ones again. Again and again and again, backwards maybe. and same with the other ones for C and G, and then start mixing and matching them because they all are in the same key. They can be useful in the key of G major, and so you can construct perhaps a nice little progression. Etc., etc. And of course, you can always finger pick them too and find other ways to kind of add some interesting tones from your right hand. So that is it for the major triad lesson today. I hope you found it useful. Please remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.